Okay, welcome in. This is take two. Let's see if this works this time. Come on in. Welcome to Phoenix Breathwork Stories. For another edition, we've got a wonderful guest joining us today. So we're having a few tech issues. We're going to see if you can join again now. So try sending another request and let's just see if it's going to go through. Come on in. Come on in. Let this work.
We got it. We got it. We got it. We got it. Oh, wow. That was fun and games, wasn't it?
It's literally the old turn it off and on again.
Oh, man. And yeah.
How are
Brilliant.
you doing, Suze?
Yes, I'm good. This is so exciting. I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you, my sweetheart, for
I'm
inviting me.
so excited you're here too. So welcome in. We've got some people joining us live. So come
Wonderful.
on in and say hello, everybody.
Oh, Jess. Hello, Jess. Wonderful.
Awesome. Your hair looks amazing, by the way. I love
Oh,
it. It curls.
it's doing its thing now. I mean, this went through a little bit of a stage where it was just not doing what I wanted it to do, but now it's in its glory. You just have
As
to allow
are,
it to be wild.
I was going to say, as are you, my darling. So this is why I'm so excited to speak to you today. So just for anyone who's watching, just want to introduce you before we begin, Sue.
Yeah.
So, this series, this Instagram series that I've started, I wanted to share stories about the power of breath and how powerful it can be and how it can transform your life and just the magic of it. And I thought, who better to hear from than breath workers who've actually decided to change the path of their lives because of breath.
Yeah.
So anyone who doesn't know the wonderful Susie Smith who's joining us today, Susie is not only a breathwork therapist, but I'm going to read this out to make sure I get all of it. But you are
Okay.
also an embodiment mentor,
Yep.
trauma recovery facilitator,
Yep.
energy worker, and
Yep.
MHFA trained.
Yes.
So Susie is the founder of Intuitive Breathwork, and I love that name. It's amazing. So I want to hear about how you came to that as well. But Susie is joining us today. She's giving us her time, and she's going to be sharing with us her journey with breath. So, we'd love to hear from you, Susie, as to how you first discovered breath work, and I guess the journey it's taken you on.
Yeah.
So I'm literally going to hand it over and let you run with it, please.
Okay. No worries, baby. Well, I mean, I think like most people has been watching some of your stories that, when we have our first experience with breath work, it is a total game changer. And I had my first experience with breath work because I started to notice that when I was stressed or anxious, I was really holding my breath, or I was breathing through my nose really loudly. And one of my boyfriends at the time, I have thousands, my boyfriend at the time, he went to me, blimey, you're really making a lot of noise there. And I was concentrating on something, but I was really like nasal breathing. And I was just like, that's not right. Why am I doing that? And I started to recognize that when I wasn't in a good place, my breathing was disrupted and it wasn't smooth, or there was something, it just wasn't right. And so, you know how this stuff works. Once you start to tune into that sort of stuff, the universe brings what it is you need to you, So I'm going to put it out there, and the breath found me. The breath
I love
found
that.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't the other way around. It was like, you need something and this is going to be it. I mean, I'd worked with a lot of other modalities. So I've worked a lot with plant medicine. I've done therapy. I've had lots of different accessible ways to deal with my trauma and what I've had to grow up with, which was quite difficult. But I couldn't quite get to that last piece of the jigsaw. I couldn't work out what that last little bit was. And because I'd noticed my breathing was being very sort of erratic, and also some of the medicine I'd been sitting with, the message about breathing properly was coming through quite clearly. And I just thought it meant, just breathing. I didn't correlate how important that was. And then I went to my local yoga studio with a beautiful friend of ours called Rebecca, and she was doing a workshop. Rebecca Dennis was doing a workshop at my local yoga studio. And I was like, there you go, that's what I need. I just rocked up there one day, saw the poster. Okay, that's it. I'm going to do that. This is going to help. Anyway, I walked into this workshop with absolutely no expectation. And I came out of that workshop, and the first words that came out of my mouth were, what the fuck just happened there? You know?
Yeah.
You know.
I know, exactly.
And I could not believe what I just experienced. I just couldn't equate that I'd got to where I'd got to with just breath, you know. And it was such a similar experience for sitting with the medicine. And if people don't know what I'm talking about, I work shamanically. I'm talking about plant medicines. And you can go very deep on these things, and you can clear a lot of stuff very quickly. It's like 10 years of therapy in one weekend. And having sat with the breath and gone through to the same spaces I do when I sit with the medicine, I just couldn't believe it.
And that's your first session.
That was my first session.
That's incredible, Susie. Yeah. Incredible.
And
Can you expand on it a little bit? I know sometimes it can be hard to really describe what happens or how you feel.
Yeah.
But can you expand when you're saying, you know, you went from feeling one way to another way in that space of time? What was it? Like, can you describe it at all?
You just drop into another state of consciousness. You know, the only time I've experienced that kind of level of complete surrender, and for my subconscious mind to be allowing me to drop into a completely different space. And the emotion that came up, you know, it was the sheer emotion. And it was Elif was there again, another good friend and teacher of ours that was there. She pressed something as we worked with the acupressure. She pressed something on my chest and whispered these amazing words to me, and it was just like this unleashing of emotion. And I've never released emotion like that unless I've been sitting with the medicine. It was just like, it just came from somewhere else, and it was old stuff. I could feel it, you know. And it just came, and the music was playing, and the breath work, and that higher state of consciousness, I think, is the best way to describe it. To attain that through just breath work, you know. I mean, I've discovered I can get there with chanting as well, but the breath work takes me there so quick. You know, it's just that space that opens up in the subconscious mind. You're somewhere else. You're just somewhere else.
So what were you thinking as you walked out of this session? Do you remember?
I mean, apart from just floating out of there. Stunned, yeah. I mean, I came out and I was just. One thing I do remember when I came out, what I felt more than anything was, you know, sometimes when it's been snowing very heavily and everything around you, the sound seems muffled, like everything sounds softer. And when I came out, that's what I remember thinking. It sounds like it's been snowing and everything just didn't sound quite so loud.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, what's happened? What transformation have I just experienced there? And I think I just went home and I just sat there with it for, you know, that evening, and was just in awe of what I just experienced.
Wow. What a powerful introduction to breathwork, Susie.
Yeah. And I just couldn't comprehend that it was just the breath. And this is what I think I would say to anybody that's waiting to try this sort of breath work. And this is a particular modality. This is transformational breath. We both work with it, conscious connected breath work. It takes you to these deep spaces. You know, you visions, you have memories, you unlock these parts of yourself that you can't reach, but the breath can take you there. And it's just the breath.
That's what's so amazing, isn't it? It's like, hang on, I've just been breathing. I've just been breathing, and I can feel like this.
And release the trauma. You know, we both work in the modality. We see people release these deep-rooted traumas and emotions. And, you know, having worked now more with trauma and trained more with trauma, and I understand how vital it is that we need to release these pockets of emotion in the body. And with the conscious mind, we can't get there. You know, you can't think yourself into healing. You know, you can't heal the mind with the mind. And so when you drop into this breath work and you drop into the body and you take yourself to this subconscious state, this unveiling really of allowing the body to release what it needs to release, that's where the power lies.
It's absolutely that. And I say it all the time. It's about, you know, I say for myself, the way I describe it is that I had become disconnected from my body and
Yeah.
just living in my head,
Yeah.
because everything I'd stored away was very much there in my body. And I'm like, I'm not going there. I'm going to live up here. I'm going to
Yeah.
stay in my head. But it does get to a point, you know, it's not sustainable. And you do, you know, like you said, the breath found you because you were starting to notice, starting to open up and find it. And it's when you can breathe, like you said, being in your body with that breath, starting to access that. And it's being brave enough to stay with it
Yes.
too, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you know, these sessions that we, you know, because obviously I've gone on to train in it because it was such a powerful experience. But these sessions, you know, when we work with people, and I say to people, you know, you can have the one session, but it's a therapy. We know this is therapy without talking. You know, I always remind people of that because it's so true. You know, you breathe yourself into these spaces, and whatever comes up in these sessions, once it's come up, you've integrated it. You know, it's such a beautiful, simple therapy, a beautiful, simple way of accessing trauma relief and trauma release. And, you know, you feel shaky sometimes afterwards, you feel emotional, but you give it 24, 48 hours and you're like, oh, wow, I've just worked through something big.
Yeah, it's a big opening, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah. And it's just breath.
Yeah.
We've got the power in
Yeah.
ourselves, and we can access that through breath work.
Yeah, it's so powerful. So tell us, Susie, what you did after this breath session. What led you to continue?
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew the world I was in. I was a corporate PA at the time, and I knew that that life was not the life I wanted.
Okay.
It was a means to an end. I was a single parent. I needed a good job. I created an amazing job for myself in a beautiful company with wonderful people, and it helped me give my son a great life. Both of us had a great life for the term that I needed it. But when he left school, I was like, okay, I don't have to do this. Now, I'd already started working with Reiki. I was already a Reiki practitioner. I was already working with energy. I was doing tarot cards. So, you know, I was already in that field of opening myself up to doing something different. And I was just like, okay, this came like a bolt out of the blue that I wasn't expecting. And all I did was I took the cards of the ladies that were there and I started to follow Rebecca and Elif and the Big Breath Company on social media. And it was just in the back of my mind that I want to investigate this more. I need to do more. I need to find out more. And I didn't act on it immediately, but it was there. And it was just like this little buzz. And I started to see the Big Breath Company advertise their seminars. And I was like, okay, that's what I need to do. And the minute I decided to jump onto a seminar, because I wanted to know more, I was wanting to know, how is this breath so powerful? How have I just had this huge release just with the breath? I got curious. And I was more aware of my breath from the minute I'd done that session. You know, I would watch my breath, and obviously the information we're given throughout the session, we're told about how we hold our breath dictates how we live. You know, we know that however we breathe is the reflection of how we're living. So I really started to work more with breath awareness after that. And then I saw the Big Breath Company advertise their first ever seminar in the UK. And that was Elif, the lady that had worked with me in the session. And I just knew I had to do it. I just knew I had. And the minute I decided to go on to that seminar, the universe just conspired. I didn't know why I was doing it. I just knew I had to do it. My intuition was just like, you've got to get on this course.
You were listening to that guidance,
Oh
right?
man, yeah,
Yeah.
totally tuned in to what was going on inside. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, you know, that goes back to why I called my breathwork intuitive breathwork. I am very intuitive. I've always known that voice. There's a difference between fear and there's a difference between the inner critic and the intuition. It's very loud and clear for me. I've always understood that it's a feeling as well as a voice that comes through. And the feeling was just, this is right. This is so right. I need to do this. And you were there, weren't you?
I didn't realise. So had you only had one breath session before you went to seminar?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. And I think that was in the summer. And the seminar was in the January of the following year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So I,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah, so I was just on that seminar, just, you know, and I would say to anybody, the Big Breath Company have got a seminar coming up actually in September, which I'm going to be helping them with. And I would suggest to anybody that wants to know more, get on that level 1 to 3, because it's a personal seminar. And then you choose after that what you want to do. I obviously wanted to continue because what I learned in that week just blew my mind.
Yeah. It
It,
really takes you on a journey, doesn't it? And
wow.
that's
I mean,
why,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah. And that's why I love it's called a personal seminar, because
yeah,
it doesn't just teach you about breath and everything you need to know about that. It teaches you about yourself and how
yeah,
you can use that in your life, right?
yeah,
It's those
yeah.
skills and those tools. So
Yeah.
it's such a
It
powerful
just,
journey.
yeah, it just literally cracked me open. And I realized in that week, I mean, and we're breathing in this particular technique. Anyone that's worked with me, I can see a few people that are joining, know me and have worked with me, and people that have worked with you as well, is that this breath is deep. And if you do that, what were we doing it 2 or 3 times a day for 7 days?
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
2.5 sessions. Yeah.
yeah, it's just, I mean, I think I remember my very last session sitting on the floor with Rebecca because I just I couldn't move. And I was just in awe of this experience and what I'd managed to release and let go of. And it was at that moment that I realized this was the missing piece of the puzzle.
Wow.
This was the piece of the puzzle that I needed. And the message came clear, so clear. This is what I need to do. I knew at that moment that I needed to be able to give this experience to other people, because not everybody wants to sit with the medicine. Not everybody wants to do the shamanic path, but this breath work can access parts of your mind, your subconscious mind, your body trauma, your stored emotions that you can't comprehend. And it's so accessible. And it's so freeing. It changes your
So
life.
freeing. So freeing.
Yeah.
Susie, it changes your life. Exactly.
Oh,
How would you say it has changed your life?
it's brought me home. I
Mm.
get emotional when I say that because it's brought me back to myself. I'm so happy now. I cannot sometimes comprehend how happy I am and how safe I feel in my body, how secure I feel in my journey. I trust myself. I love myself. I don't doubt myself, you know, and I was a very insecure, very troubled, very traumatized woman from the age of 16 till I started doing this work on myself, which was probably 10 years ago. It really started, you know, and then I
Mm.
found the breath 4 years ago. And it was the final piece of the puzzle alongside the trauma work. Thank you, Lily. Mwah. Love you. Um, and it just brought me back to my center, to my core, to my essence. And that sort of survival suit that I lived my entire life in is gone. You know, it's gone. I don't have to hide anymore. I'm not afraid to be
Mm.
seen. I'm not
Oh,
afraid to be heard. You know, it's like my
yeah.
heart is bursting open. And if ever I feel pulled out of my center, if ever I feel I'm not quite where I want to be, I just breathe. I just breathe and I'm back where I need to be,
Mm.
you
So that's
know?
what I was going to ask, how the breath still supports you day to day.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the breath awareness, you know, even now, if I'm troubled, I can notice that I start heavily nose breathing and I go, oh, I know what I'm doing. But then what I do as well is I start to sit with that emotion, which is what I
Hmm.
never used to do before. You know, there's this very simple trick that some people do, probably subconsciously, and it is a little bit of a spiritual bypassing situation where we can be in a situation that triggers us emotionally. And the first thing we're doing is we're looking for the lesson. What's the lesson in this? Well, yes, there is a lesson, but first, what's the emotion?
Yes.
Feel the emotion.
Feel it.
Yeah.
And
Because
that,
yeah,
sorry, carry on, Suze. I don't want to cut you off. Yeah.
if you don't come into that emotion when you're triggered in that moment, what am I feeling? Because what you're feeling will bring you the lesson. If you divert too quickly to the lesson, you're jumping all over the place. You're not always going to integrate what it is that you're being taught. And so, you know, I think that's the harnessing. That's the thing I've harnessed, is that I feel the emotion, I breathe into it.
Mm.
Sometimes I'll go off and I'll just give myself a session if I need to release. You know, we do the toning. And then I go through the process of, right, what's the lesson in that trigger? What have I just been shown through that emotion?
And that's where the power is, because we have forgotten how to feel for whatever that reason is, be it too painful, too sad, it hurts, or it's just we don't know how to anymore.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. It's like stay in that feeling, because
Yeah.
again, trying to learn the lesson, yeah, okay, there's a lesson there, but you're going straight into that cognitive mind to think
Yeah.
about it, right?
Yeah.
Where it's that
Yeah.
being in the body and feeling it. So you're
Totally.
absolutely right. And that's why I say it's about being brave and
Mm.
allowing yourself to do that, because it's not easy.
No, it's not.
Easy.
And do you know what? It's really not easy. I'm not going to kid anybody that this has been a walk in the park. You know, I've had some really hard times. But I would say to anybody that's in the middle of their journey or is just starting in their journey, you know, tap into breath work, because it's such an accessible tool that you can use anywhere at any time. You know, we facilitate the sessions. It's your breath. You do this to yourself. You have the power and capacity within you to create this opening and this doorway that gets you to the other side of what is difficult. You know, and it is difficult. You know, we've all experienced those moments where you're just like, oh, I wish I'd never started this. You know, oh
Yeah.
my God, it's just, you know, yeah. I want to go back. I want to go back, but you can't. You know, you can't. Once you're opening, you're opening. But you keep moving slowly, very slowly, one step at a time. Breathe into it. Trust yourself. Trust the journey. Trust the emotion. And the breath has brought me to the other side. I'm the other side, and I'm just like, I made it. And you know, it's not to say that there's going to be other obstacles and other challenges and these things, because of course that never stops.
Well, life happens. It's life, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's the spiral. That's the spiral, isn't it? You know, you're going back. I'm just popping into a spiral. Anyone want anything? You know,
Love that.
it's going to happen. But I think you have different tools, and it never, I don't perceive anything could ever challenge me the way it used to, because of the tools I've got in my toolbox. And I put a lot of that down to the breath work.
Yeah. And also, like, just expanding on that, you know, life still does happen. So we're not
Yes.
immune to it. It's not that just, you know, you practice breath work and you're resolving all this trauma and healing. It's amazing. It's incredible. It is tough, but you get there. But it doesn't make you immune to it. Like, life is still happening. You will still get triggered. Things will still be going on. But it's how you respond to it, how you react to it, how you deal with it. And like you said, you've got access to these tools now. And what I find in myself is that if I do find it happening, I come back to myself quicker.
Yes,
So like,
exactly.
you come back quicker, rather than maybe staying there for a bit longer and not understanding and like, oh, feeling lost and da 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 da. It's okay, I've got these tools, I can come back quicker than I may have before. So it's just, and it's a constant practice, right? A way of life.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, tick that box, I've done that now, what's next?
Yeah, and that's it. And it's like, you know, healing doesn't go A to B. As I say to a lot of people when I'm doing my mentoring, it goes from A to what the is going on to B, then back, then B, then back to A, and then you know, it's like
this is my
not linear.
Constant lesson for me, and I've said it in some of the other stories. I'm like, and that's how I've always operated. This is where I want to be. What's the quickest route there? And life will always take you somewhere else, and it's about that surrender and surrender and surrender. And when you think you've surrendered, surrender some more.
Totally.
It's never ending, is it?
It's never ending, but it is that I think the breath has given me. It's given me back. It's given me, you know, I lost a lot of confidence because of various relationships I had. I lost my mother when I was young. I didn't trust anybody because I was living on my own. I mean, I didn't trust anybody. And that was a lonely existence, you know, and I had to work through that. And I tried talking therapy, and I'm not dismissing talking therapy as being anything wrong, but I think with talking therapy, you just maintain. I needed a somatic therapy because I needed to get into those little nooks and crannies that I'd pushed it down so much because I'd repressed and suppressed it so much because it was so painful. I just didn't want to go there. But with the breath work, I could access it without it being such a big deal. You know, it's like it was almost enjoyable. It was an enjoyable release, because in the sessions, as you know, we've got the music coming. Lily's laughing. We've got the music coming. We've got the sound that you breathe into. You've got the group if you're working in a workshop, and it's just that power behind you. You don't feel like you're on your own. You
Yeah,
know, you
love
don't
that,
feel like you're on
Susie.
your own.
Yeah, love that. So, you say your journey has been hard work. There has
Yeah.
been hard times. Is there anything that you'd want to expand on as an example to
Mm,
share something that you've been through as part of your journey, or the route that breathwork's taken you on? Because
mm,
we talk about the seminar that it initially, like you said, cracks you open and you're like, right, okay, this is my life's work, this is what I'm going
mm,
to do. So the breathwork training journey is also quite an extensive, thorough journey that we go on. There's several weeks of training and practice that we have to do. So
mm,
during that, is there anything in particular that you think that you would like to share about how breathwork has taught you something or shown you
mm.
something, or you've grown or changed anything at all? And you absolutely don't have to, but
No, I don't mind. It's,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
if there's anything.
Anyone that's known me, and Lily's known me a long time, anyone that's seen my change in the change in me knows that I'm almost like a different person now. I was very closed emotionally. My confidence was down, but I think the biggest change is that I have healthy relationships in my life. And I chose the wrong men. I chose the wrong friends. I chose the wrong jobs, because I was reacting from a place of trauma. And that's one thing the breathwork has taught me, is it's taught me about how important it is to understand your trauma. And I'm talking about emotional trauma. And I've done obviously a lot of trauma work alongside the breathwork. And as you know, the breathwork works primarily with our nervous system, where we hold everything, where we hold all of our emotional data. And accessing that has changed everything, because even when I'm triggered, the root cause no longer has a hold on me. It no longer has a hold on me. So I can still be triggered. You don't lose the triggers. They're part of who we are. We've got to love them, because they've kept us safe for a long time. So we don't
Yeah,
want to deny them, and we don't want to say they're wrong, because they're not. They were there for a reason. They were there for a purpose. And I thank every single one of them for being there. But it's interesting now that when I'm triggered, it comes up and I go, oh,
mm-hmm.
oh, okay, that's there, is it? That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on there then? And like you say, within sometimes an hour, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes a couple of days, I've worked through it, and it's just like, oh, okay, I'm not that person. That's my wounding. That's my inner child, for want of a better context, because they're normally wounds from childhood. And all I recognize now, which is probably the most part where I feel free, is I'm not my past. I'm not my past. I'm not my stories. I'm not this thing, this kind of survival suit that was created from all of those experiences anymore. I'm free as my adult self, as my authentic self, and I just witness it now. But there's no hold, and I don't react from fear. I still do things that scare me, because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I'm
Mm.
like, I'm going towards this, baby, because I know what's on the other side of it, and it's just fucking great.
Yeah.
you know so
But
I
that's
think
the
that's
freedom you
it.
mentioned earlier on. That's the
Free.
freedom, isn't it?
Free.
Just to be
Yeah,
you
yeah. My heart
completely
is free,
wholly.
my mind is free, my body is free.
Mm.
I never ever thought I could be in this space that I'm in.
Oh,
I thought it was impossible. I had some really dark times. I was a single parent. I didn't have many people around me, because I didn't let anybody get close to me. And I lived a very, very lonely existence for a very long time. And I cried a lot. I had a lot of darkness. And I had depression, anxiety, all of those things. I honestly never thought I'd get to this point. I just thought that happened to other people.
mm.
I didn't think it would happen to me. but it did. So anybody that's listening, it can happen to you too. You know, you can get to these spaces. It's attainable and it's achievable.
Yeah,
You know, you can do it.
absolutely.
Yeah. And that's why, you know, you and I love the phrase, breathe yourself free, because it's so true.
That's it. You
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is about showing up and doing the work and
Yeah.
just starting,
Yes.
just getting started,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
And it
then,
is, you're right. That's really
yeah.
important. That's a really important point. It is about doing the work.
Mm.
You know, it is about consistency. It is about showing up for yourself and knowing that you deserve this
Yeah.
and you're worthy of it and you're allowed to receive, you know, and there are going to be hard times, but you just keep going one little step at a time. One
That's
little
it.
step at a
Little step
time.
at a time.
Yeah.
That's it. This one moment, one breath at a time, you will
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
100%. I love it, Susie, and I'm so honoured to have been witness to your journey. You know, being there on your
Yes,
seminar, all the way through to where
you
you are
have.
now. Like to see you, just it's everything you've described. You know,
Mm,
to be witness to that and just see you blossom almost, and you know, like you said, come back to yourself, and that's what it is.
mm,
And just
yeah.
I feel it from you. I
Mm.
really do feel it from you when you talk, and we met recently again, which was
Yeah.
lovely. Real
So
hugs. And
nice. Proper hugs.
I
Yeah.
know, but just I can feel it from you. Like it literally
Mm.
vibrates off you because you know you're living and breathing it now,
Yeah.
right? This
Yeah.
is your
Yeah.
you're owning it, which
It's
is
my truth.
incredible.
It's my
Yeah,
truth. You know,
yeah.
it's my light. My light is so bright right now. It's
Keep
just,
shining. Yes.
yeah, baby, keep shining. And and that's why I want to do what I want to do. And that's why I've kind of developed stuff as alongside the breath work, because, you know, we all need help. We all need help moving along this path. And it's like the breath is a tool. There's so many ways to access these parts of you that can get you to where you want to be. You've just got to trust yourself. Trust yourself, trust the breath.
Yeah, and believe
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So, Susie, how are you working with people now? Can you just share with people, anyone that's watching, how you're working with people and how they can connect with you if they want to
Yeah.
know more or to work with you? Just let us know what you're
Yeah,
up to.
absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
I've got lots of festivals this summer, which is great. Can't wait to get back out in the field. So I've just run a women's retreat, which was great. We're having another women's retreat, hopefully next year. But you can find me on Love Intuitive Breathwork or Intuitive Breathwork. My website is Intuitive Breathwork. I also run regular sessions at Breeze Yoga in Beckenham, which is where I had my first experience. So it's wonderful that I've gone full circle and now I teach at Breeze. I offer one-to-ones. I do trauma work. I do embodiment mentoring for women that really want to embody change in their life. I work with the breath. I work with trauma recovery and emotional trauma to help people move beyond their stories and their past. So yeah, I do one-to-ones. I do workshops. All my stuff is on my website and my events, which you can find if you're on Instagram. Go to my page on Linktree. I've also got a comedy podcast because, as you know, I do love to laugh. I'm a little bit of a comedian on the quiet.
You are, and actually, I don't think I mentioned at the beginning, but you're actually a laughter yoga teacher as
Yes,
well, right?
yes, yeah, yeah. I don't really teach laughter yoga that much anymore. I've kind of adapted my own laughter therapy, which I use with the breath work because it's all about the
Okay.
diaphragm. So, you know, yeah, but I have a wonderful spiritual comedy podcast with my dear friend Charlotte, who we do a lot of work together, and that's called the Lightworkers Cafe. So if you fancy a little bit of a light-hearted sort of look at the spiritual world, go and find out about that.
Definitely tune in, everyone. It's brilliant. So I will make sure that we tag you in the blurb at the bottom so people
Yes,
can find
perfect.
you
Yeah.
and people can connect. But what is there? Is there anything else that you would like to say to anyone who's maybe listening and something
Mm,
you said has resonated and they're like, oh, I don't know, or they're not
mm.
sure, and you know they've heard about this breath work and they're just like, oh, I don't know if it's for me. Have you got any advice or is there anything you'd like to share with anyone?
Yeah, I think really, you know, if you're hovering on the fence, the fact that you're on the fence means you should jump over the fence.
Yeah.
Because these things are brought to us for a reason, and sometimes it's really as simple as getting out of our own way. You know, we are very clever up there. The mind is a very tricky little beast. I personally believe that the nervous system is a physical manifestation of the ego. And the two things that they do is try and keep us safe. And what they do when they're trying to keep us safe is stop us doing things they don't understand. And so sometimes just stepping over that threshold of doing something you haven't done before is already growth, is already change, is already showing up for yourself, is already getting out of your own way by not listening to the inner critic that's going, oh, I don't think you should do that. Maybe that's not a good idea. Try it. Give yourself that little bit of a push and go, do you know what? What's the worst that's going to happen? I'm not going to like it. The best thing that could happen is you could change your whole damn life.
Love it, Susie. Yes. And you are a testament to that, my darling.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I walk my talk. I walk my talk. Yeah.
You absolutely do. And I love it. I love your energy and I'm excited. I feel like there's so much more that's going to be coming from you. You know, just keep on going, keep shining, keep doing it because it's amazing. So thank you so much for giving us your time today and sharing.
You're welcome. It's been
a bit
so
of
much
your
fun.
journey.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah, and it's been wonderful because you have been a big part of my journey. You've been on all the training that I was doing because you were facilitating. So it's just so lovely to be able to be in this space with you. Really, really is.
Oh, I know. Thank you so much. I just think, how else can we just, you know, educate people a little bit, or, you know, get people to understand a little bit more? Because some of the conversations I have with people are still like, you teach people how to breathe, but we're all breathing, and it's still like trying to educate a little bit. So I'm like, okay, let's just expand on it. Let's share our journeys. Let's talk about what we've been through and know that it's not just breathing in and out for relaxation, because yes, it's powerful for that, but it goes a lot deeper. Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love it, Jess. Thank you,
Beautiful.
darling. It's been wonderful.
It has been. So thank you again, my darling. I'm going to put all of the Susie's contact details below. So do let us know if you're watching on the replay as well.
Yeah.
If anything has resonated, if you've got any questions for us, please just get in contact. We love to hear from you. I'm sure Susie would love to hear from you.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. Come and find me. Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, I'm just going to go through. There was a couple of comments. So Lily said, love you too. You're so inspiring.
Oh.
Barbara saying, yes, something's resonated with her there.
Perfect.
And let's see what else we've got. And Barbara, thank you, Susie and Jessie.
Jess.
Saying, so inspiring.
Yeah,
thank you. Keep inspiring, keep shining, Susie, my darling. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us live. And
keep breathing.
Love it.
Love you, darling.
Lots of love to you. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
Soon.
Bye.